Thank you very much.
Thank the gentleman for his testimony, and now recognize Dr. Potts for his 5-minute opening statement.
Chairwoman McMorris, Rodgers, Chairman Griffith, ranking members Castor and Pallone, and members of the subcommittee. I'm Dr. Steve Potts, a biotech scientist and small business entrepreneur. I've been working on cancer drug development for the last 25 years. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today on the IRA and the impact specifically its 9-year small molecule penalty is having on new drugs for cancer and other diseases. There's two kinds of medicines we work to generally develop into drugs. Small molecules, these are pills taken orally, and biologics, which are typically given IV or as injectables. Small molecules are just as risky to develop as large molecules. They can cross the blood-brain barrier and also enter cancer cells typically. Biologics cannot. These powerful weapons both attack cancer, but they're not interchangeable. Roughly half the new oncology drugs approved recently were small molecule treatments. We need both kinds of drugs to win the war against cancer. We are cutting off the development of novel small molecules for America's seniors at the knees with the IRA 9-year small molecule penalty. But this is a problem we can fix together in a revenue-neutral way by having the government negotiate the prices of both small and large molecules after 13 years, along with an increase in a minimum statutory discount that can more than pay for this adjustment. Most ideas for cancer drugs never make it past animal testing. Of the ones that do make it into human trials, less than 5%, 1 in 20, actually make it to market. It takes a decade of work by largely American companies to do so. We have to spend a minimum of $200,000 per patient on direct clinical trial costs alone that goes largely to American academic medical centers and hospitals. I've personally worked in these trials at many of the top institutions in your district. But regardless, one successful drug in 30 years of post-PhD drug hunting is considered a productive career. And getting even one over the finish line is a huge and endless contribution to society. I know the drugs that I've worked on will be available to patients forever, and most patients who take them will take inexpensive generic copies long after their patents expire. And we count on insurance to make our inventions affordable. It's impossible otherwise. That's what keeps us motivated. This is the essence of the biotech social contract. My own career is a good illustration. Since completing my PhD at UC Davis in 1999, that's 25 years of work. I've been involved in 2 successful drugs that are currently given to patients, and a whole lot of failures that didn't work. I'm one of the lucky ones. But neither of these 2 drugs are blockbusters. They're the typical drugs. They're novel new mechanisms, critical differences to patients, but these are not the blockbusters that is the focus of many of today's discussions. Biotech fundraising is like Shark Tank for nerds. I usually have just a few minutes to explain to a room full of sharp and smart investors what our molecule does, why I believe our data in mice will translate to results in people, and generally, hopefully, convince investors that my team and I know mostly what we're doing. I do this many times and expect to hear a lot of no thanks. The cancer companies that do get funded almost always have to demonstrate economically and clearly that the drug is, if it's approved, will more than pay back its cost and savings elsewhere in the health system. Think of a drug that fights bladder cancer and avoids the patient having to have the high cost of surgery, the bladder removal, hospitalization, and then the horrible cost of living without a bladder every day, year in, year out. About a year ago, while out fundraising for cutting-edge cancer drug candidate, I noticed a fundamental shift by investors away from small molecules, especially for diseases that affect older Americans. This is a real investment question I had during a pitch. Is there any way you can change from a small molecule daily pill for these cancers to making it a more complex biologic IV or injectable? That's ridiculous. A request to go from a pill to an injectable. And I puzzled. I did my own survey of over 100 venture capitalists and biotech leaders. The damage has been clear. 85%, 6 out of 7 biotech investors were already pivoting and making plans away from small molecule drug development. Other studies reached the same conclusion. Biotech investors have to get a return on their risk, and the elimination of 4 years, between 9 and 13, before price negotiation cuts their potential return in half. Any rational investor would leave the small molecule space faced with these alternatives, and they will leave the biologic space too if we further try to mess with an already shortened 13-year patent-like period of market-based pricing. The cancer of the IRA small molecule penalty will continue to metastasize, eliminating previously promising drug programs in cancer, neuroscience, orphan diseases, and many other areas. I can't imagine anyone in this room who deliberately designed IRA to have this kind of toxic side effect on small molecule drug development, but that is our reality. I'm supportive of many aspects of the IRA, including the way it begins to address high patient out-of-pocket costs, as well as how it ensures that the prices society pays for biologic medicines come down after an initial patent-protected period of market-based pricing. That's long been the bargain. The drug industry makes medicines that are meant to go generic without undue delay, and society makes them affordable to patients through proper insurance, which means low out-of-pocket costs. The best aspects of the IRA reaffirm this bargain. We can balance biotech affordability and innovation. We can mitigate this central toxic effect of the IRA. Policymakers can restore sufficient incentives for new molecule R&D simply by having the government treat small and large molecules the same after 13 years, and increase the minimum statutory discount can more than pay for this adjustment. Please, come together to fix this. Our progress in treating and curing cancers and other diseases of aging depend on it.
Chairman yields back and now recognize Mr. Crowley for his 5-minute opening statement.